All right. So I'd like to call up Bob Sam, and I would also like to call up Kahwe. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a blessing and a ceremony, and we'll have a prayer, and that is how our ancestors did it, or I'm trying to follow in the path of our ancestors. So that's what we're going to do first. So I hung the Devil's Club over the doorway. I asked Bob to say a prayer, and I asked Kahwe to stand as my opposite, and then we'll go into the next stage of this presentation. Ganesh Chish. And the other thing I needed to add is that we're going to take hooligan oil and dab it on each corner so we can bring the ancestors in for our protection.
You're going to have to forgive me. I'm not a fluent speaker. And I know that there are fluent speakers in this room. But I want to mention, I grew up around the language. And it was taken away from me when I was a small child. But I also want to let you know, I've been in the closet for a long time. I was discouraged from speaking the language and told to get an education. And I really want to especially thank the speakers in this room for bringing it back. But there comes a time when somebody has to come out of the closet. And this is my first attempt to come out of the closet. So I ask you for your strength. Growing up around the language, I heard prayer. It was like a higher language that had no hard feelings, and everyone said good things about each other. I miss that prayer. I miss those older people, because just being around them made you feel good. So I'm going to make my first attempt in public to make you feel good. This prayer is to a very ancient God we know as Hashagenya. Hashagenya is the everlasting one, the one who never left us. So I'm going to share a prayer because my friend Nancy asked me to. I'm on the organizing committee, and when they ask me to do something, I can't say no. So please bear with me. If I make a mistake, it's because this is from my memory. Nobody taught me this. It comes from my grandmother. So this is my very first time to say any trinket in public. Hashagenya. Hashagenya. Hach du jedachshi. Hach du wasekuyao. Yechat wuti. Hach kusti tu. Hach du wa. Iseka. Ichsechan. Everlasting one, everlasting one, put your hand under us. Help us to be a part of this place. Help us to include you into our lives. This is our home. We love you very much. Ganeshtish for allowing me to speak my language in public for the first time. Thank you.
Goodness, sheesh. I want to thank the Akhwan for allowing us onto their land for this great blessing and ceremony that has already unfolded. And I look forward to sharing this presentation with all of you fine people that have come today and to come listen. So first of all, Anyat Kusani, Skinya Tlayu Khatusak, Shuknakhari Aya. My Western name is Nancy Keene, and my clan is Koho. And I come to you today. I want to say, Gunachish Hachi Adi. It's good to see everyone. I'm so glad that you've come. The presentation that I have brought today is titled Stewards of the Land. And so what I really want to say is, Linget Hasati Aksh Awe. This is what our people said. And so when I speak to that, and speaking to those words and hearing stewards of the land, what I'm speaking to is the future of our grandchildren and all future generations to come. When we hear that wording again in our language, the Shinget hasati aksh awe hakusta yeyati. it really means it is our responsibility to care for our land, and that's really where we're at in present day. We really need to come back and really think about that. Caring for our land is our responsibility. It's encoded inside of us to do that. I spoke to one of the Natlas in Klukwan, the Yesh Ganach clan on Sukh, Western name, Sally Burton, and I asked her to share with me what she thought. I asked directly, how do you express your interpretation of stewards of the land? And she said to me, Hatu Yeyati. It is inside of us. That's part of that encoding that's inside of us, and it's really strong for some of us. That's how I feel. I feel so strong about this because I think about my children and my grandchildren and the future generations. So that's what this presentation is going to bring. And I'm going to also speak about some of our traditional values, and I'll just go over that briefly, but let's see, is that where?
Well, we can't play legally.
Oh, okay, that's out of it? Okay, so when we're speaking to our traditional values, we speak to Thinget Hakustayi, the balance of everything. We're talking about taking only what we need. That is really vital. I mean, I just think that that's something that we've lost. I mean, I see some of our foods being sold, and there was a time when they would go around the villages and the people would bring the foods to the elders. It was something that was that inherent thing inside of us that we knew was the right thing to do. And so that's what I mean about that. And then we have been hearing a lot about everything has a spirit. And I just love that part. I feel it. I feel it when I go outside. I know that when we speak to the spirit, everything, we're really speaking to the natural world. Some of us have been removed from that, and so let's get back to that idea, that concept of being that part of the natural world. That's what we're seeing that is in need of our help. The planet is a living, breathing planet. So take care of our land, and it will take care of us. Yeah, okay. When I was speaking to the content description of this presentation, I was speaking to the future of our grandchildren and future generations. I also want to add to that I was really inspired by the Idle No More grassroots movement that took place in December 2012. And that was just a really amazing time for me. I just really felt like it was really calling me. And so that's when I was really starting to pay attention to what's going on in the world, and especially our indigenous world. That was really, it was calling me. It was there, and I just had to really go and answer the call. So that was also true for when Standing Rock came around. And that was another one of those grassroots movements. We're hearing about our people just crying out. We need to take care of our land again. It's here, it's now. We need to really listen to these voices that are coming at us and just step up and do what we know is right. We're encoded. Zahatu Yeyati. So another thing that was, yeah, there we go. Isn't that quite a picture there? When I was following the Standing Rock moment, I know that as I followed it, I had to ask myself, I pinched myself a couple times and said, is this really real? But it is. I ended up later on meeting LaDonna Allard Brave Bull, so she was the woman that was really the person that really got this moving forward. And so when I met her, that's when I knew that was real. So I was like, okay, here we go again. You know, I'm getting these messages, and I'm going to do my best to try to listen to them. At that time of Standing Rock, there's a clip that we're going to show here. I've seen this footage when Standing Rock was in full force, and then it's a clip about our living, breathing planet. And so I want to give acknowledgement to Chief Arvel Looking Horse, and I'm going to read a passage from the things that he said while Standing Rock took place, and it'll go hand in hand with that footage about the living, breathing planet, okay? So the acknowledgements to Chief Arvel Looking Horse. He's Lakota. He's the 19th keeper of the sacred bundle. He spoke about our planet as a living, breathing planet, and this is what he said. I, Arvel Looking Horse of the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota Nations, 19th keeper of the sacred bundle, our ancestors have been trying to protect our sacred site called Sacred Black Hills of South Dakota. Hear of everything that is from our continued violations. Our ancestors never saw a satellite view of this site. When we see that, it is in the shape of a heart. And when it's fast forward, it looks like a heart pumping. We're talking about a living, breathing planet. And so that was really very significant to me, because all these things were coming together. And then I saw this. And when I started hearing what Chief Arvel Looking Horse was saying as well, it was pretty significant. He also said that in our prophecies, it is told that we are now at the crossroads, either unite spiritually as a global nation or be faced with chaos, disasters, and diseases. So that was all these things that had happened at Standing Rock. And so now we fast forward to present day, and I really want to carry this message forward in Ha'ani. So, yeah. I brought a story here that I'm going to read, and it's a story from Donawak, Austin Hammond Sr., and it's the story that is called The Spirit Came to All Things. So you have my copy. Grab my copy. I'm going to read it as Donna Walk had told the story, and so we'll see where we go with it. The Spirit came to all things, as told by Donna Walk, Austin Hammond Sr. He's a Sukakati, that's a Yesh Sukakati, a Raven Sockeye clan. This is what we get together to talk about. Don't be afraid to talk about the Spirit. I'm gonna go back a little bit, how we got the Spirit. When the raven finished the trees, everything, it's dark. Still he looked at it, never move. Our people sit there and look around. They don't know what to do, the tree never grow. All the animal there, that's what he created, what's on the ground, even the fish in the water. The raven, he went to the ocean. He was walking. When he was walking, he see that big fire right in the ocean. Come out, he looking at it, keep coming up. The raven is watching it. It keep coming out, big flame. So he look, the young man is walking. Proud of himself, his beak is kind of long, and he asks, can you help me? That was Hawk I'm talking about. He need help from it. Hawk flies fast. He asks, can you help me? That young man was walking. He was thinking about it. How's he going to get it? What shall I do? So this young man, his beak is kind of long, and he told him, can you help me? Just the eye turned to him, smile, and walk away. Second time, when he's going by, can you help me? Look at him, just smile. The third time when he asked, can you help me? I sure need your help. So he turned around, what do you want me to do? I want you to get out there and get that fire. He looked at it. How am I going to get it? I'll fix it for you. He went up in the tree. He's got just a stick, long on the end, just like cotton. That's the way it looks, and it's got the roots to tie it to him. When you're going to tie it on, you're going to work for all the people in this world. If you bring that fire, so be brave. When you get out there, look. When it comes out, turn your head, let the end go right to the fire, then bring it to me. This story is real important to me. Right now, I'm talking about, that's our spirit I'm talking about now. He says to that young man, if you bring that fire to me, you're going to help people all over the world. You're going to help them, so get it for me. When it comes up, second time coming up, then you fly to it. So he went out. He was watching soon as it come out. The second one, he fly right through and he got it. He's flying in quite a ways from shore, flying so fast, but the flame coming to his face, and he start crying. It's coming right close to his face. Ye Kwan, be brave. You suffer for the people in this world. Bring it to me. But he's crying. He was flying, crying, and crying. Keep repeating, you suffer for the people in this world with that fire. Bring it to me. So he's got it. He took it off. When he took it off, he talking to him, you helping all the people that you suffer for them. The people will know you. That's when the beaks start to burn right to his face, that hawk. You suffer for the people in this world. That's when he took out that flame. He threw it into the ground, threw it into the cliff, threw it into the snow. All the animal, what's flying in the water, all the fish in there got the spirit. Everything he throwed in got the spirit. The tree beginning to grow. Every year it comes out if you look at it. They are alive. They gave us the spirit from the raven, what he's throwing in. That's why we talk about it, to respect everything. The tree, the rocks, the ground, everything. Everything's got the spirit. They don't believe us. They don't want us to talk about the spirit, even the tree. The spirit we talking about, they alive like we are. When we call us Kwani, the tree people, they alive. The tree, it's real important. Really important than anything. Taking care of everything what's running around. You see in the trees they run. What's flying, they rest there. And our people, when they go up, get a mountain goat. If it's getting dark, we go under the tree. Have a shelter, like the house we got here. We got the shelter. The tree got everything down here in the shelter, underneath the bear. Some mountain goats come, moose come, some brown bear, and then wolf, anything, and it's the shelter for everything. Everything watching us, that flame, that rock, everything around us, even the tree, they watching us what we do. All the spirit got everything, they listen. And when we talking to them, and the roots hold together all different trees. And then you'll see the grass gonna grow on top. Try to pull, see if you're gonna pull them. Some of them, it's thick. All that small roots get together helping the tree. The tree was holding everything down. If we don't have a tree, everything's not going to be around. That's the reason our people respect them. Now I'm the one telling you, but I'm getting old. I'm helpless to do anything. You see that tree there? Old tree. It's got to be in the middle. When the wind comes, it's going to come back and forth. But the roots from the other tree is going to hold him. And the small grass, everything going to hold him down so he wouldn't drop. Because through him they know, like us sitting here, just like they telling everything to each other. That's why they call him Osquani. Now that old one, when it's going down, the day going to come when it's going to fall. Then all the trees and all the roots, everything, they're going to say, we tried to hold him. We do the best we can. That is what you folks are doing now. But the day is coming, I will be gone. Then you're not going to hear my voice. That's a reason why we respect the tree. From that we're learning everything. That's the reason why I was watching you folks, what you start. Start it from the beginning, look to the end. That is our Tlingit story. We try to show everybody so they could see what we have in Tlingit on knee. How to take care of it. Let the people see, like what my grandfather told me. Pass it on. The story I learned from my grandfather, I'm telling you, so that it's your turn to pass it on. This is what you're going to do. You're going to pass it on. So as I said, that was a story from Danawak. I was fortunate enough to have that story sent to me from my clan brother in Sitka so that I could share it. And like so many of our stories, there are many of us that didn't grow up with these things. And so I look forward to reaching out to many others and hopefully getting to hear more of our stories and hear it when we speak together in a group setting like this and share it. The interaction and the coming together is really a beautiful thing. So that's what I had to share from Danawak. The other thing about this presentation, when I decided that I wanted to try to bring it together, I wanted to bring the perspective from our people. I mean, we hear about the sciences and the numbers out there in the world, and we hear about these studies, and I really didn't want to bring any of that dry kind of stuff, and I really just wanted to connect with the people that were so kind to show up today and listen to me and listen to what I wanted to bring. And so what I did bring some things that I pulled from Western science just to kind of dot the I and cross the T's kind of thing. I mean, it's just, I really wanted to share it because I thought it was pertinent. But there was an article published with an organization called truthout.org. And on their headlines, it read, UN report says indigenous sovereignty could save the planet. Boy, that was another one. It's just like that living, breathing planet thing. We take a deep breath in and let one out, and then it just connected with me, and this did as well. So I think that we're really on the right track when we start thinking that way and we start moving in that direction, because we do, there can be positive change, and I don't want to go in the direction of any negativity in this presentation. So also in that report, they just quoted some things that I thought I would share as well. In that U.S. report, assessment comes on the heels of a startling climate report. While humans have significantly altered about 3/4 of land-based environments and 2/3 marine environments, these trends have been less severe or avoided altogether in areas held or managed by indigenous peoples and local communities. I thought that was really significant. So I just wanted to add that. And then again, I'm going to say, speak to that. Shlinget ha-siti awe hakusuyi yeyati, stewards of the land. It's our responsibility to take care of the land. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming today. I want to create a conversation afterwards so people can come together with ideas or thoughts, and we're in it together. We're in it together. I just happen to be the person standing at the podium spearheading this, and so I would like to welcome that when we're done. And so again, I thank you all for coming today. Gunas Chish. Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. It's exciting.
We welcome all ideas and thoughts. I can come down there and sit down with you folks, and We
Yeah.
let's create a circle. I mean, you know, circle is really a positive thing, but.
She's been working really hard. She's take a rest.
Hello? Is this thing on? Is it? Is this? Okay, here we go.
Oh, yes.
Kunishish, Kachit, Yu Duasak, Huknahari, Aya, Gunahu Kwan, Ayahat, Yai Hit, Ayahat, Kunishish. We wanted to open the room up for discussion, questions, comments. Just, you know, keep in mind if there is a question, that this whole presentation has been about what we as a community could do, not what kind of answers Skinya Ka is gonna.
Nashish.
She's not here to save us, right? We're here to save each other.
Goodness, cheese.
So with that, I think we can find the answers within the room for any questions we have.
Ganesh Chish, thank you for your words, Skinyatla. I really, really enjoyed your reading those words and I'm sorry, I don't remember how to say the Tlingit name. Could you remind me?
Donna Walk.
Donna Walk. Oh, Ganesh Chish. There was something about the way you read them, that you've studied them and you've internalized them. I felt like I was transported. So Ganesh Chish for that.
Oh.
I wanted to comment about another thing that you said I really liked. I love it when Western science catches up with what we've known all along. And
Yes.
I see this happening more and more often.
Yes.
They're coming out and saying, oh, what they've been saying for 10,000 years is right. Duh. So I just wanted to make that comment. And I had a question for you personally. You began your presentation in speaking Tlingit. And as a fellow language learner, I really appreciate you using it. But I guess the question in that is, how does your understanding of the language apply to what you shared with us today? You gave us a translation, which is appreciated. So to me, as a language learner, it's important because we start to understand more of our world. And so I wondered if you had a comment about that. Kanashi.
I do, and when you hear our speakers telling us all the time that our language is tied to our land, that's really the connection. It really it goes full circle, and so as a learner, I stumble all the time, and I just find myself. I have to validate myself every single day to try to use the language, and even though I can only get a few words out, that's another constant that we're hearing in this whole conference, that even if you can only say a few words, say them. We need to hear them. We need to hear it out there, because I don't have any place that I can go to that I hear it. I have to sit and look at something and read it and then speak it and hope that I can hear more of it out in the community. So appreciate that. Yeah, but it's tied, our language is tied directly to the land. Yes. Ayahawe.
Hello, my name is. Can you hear me? I might be speaking for a whole hour and a half, but. KTOO is my native name, James Williams to the English people. A year ago, I got hired by the band as a game guardian. And one of the things that I found really interesting was I went back out on the land where I was a drunk and left my garbage there. I went back and picked it up to show the respect back to the land that I disrespected. I also learned from my oldest brother, Jack Williams, Jagay, that get out on the land, speak to it. It'll speak back to you. have respect for everything you see. Used to mean nothing to me. But once I went out there and started doing it, I got something back from Mother Earth, from the animals. So I think when the elders speak, we got to listen. Because lately, what I find is that we only hear what we want to hear. Now, take that and go back and talk to the elders and see if you hear anything different. Because they mean what they say in a polite way. So we got a lot to learn and a lot to catch up on. I do believe, as stewards of this land, we are all stewards. Let's show it by doing just what I did. Pick up my garbage, bring it back. It took a white lady that I worked with. I brought a can of pop up on top of the mountain. On Thursday, I drank it. I threw it on the ground. She looked at me and she said, pick that up. It's 10 ounces lighter than when you packed it up. You can pack it down empty. So with them things that I've learned to listen once in a while, not often, but once in a while. Yeah, I picked it up, and yes, it is lighter. Put it back in my pack and brought it back down. Made me feel ashamed of myself, but at the same time proud because I'm protecting that land. Ganesh Chish.
Ganesh Chish, he handed me the microphone. Okay, good job, sister. Good job. You did well. I'm proud of you. My Tlingit name is Te'ek Unyek. It's an honor to be before you as a Tlinedi woman, a child of the Kagwantan. Thank you for your words also and this presentation. I wanted to share that this last summer, Leona and I and other women, 10 Tlingit women, had the humble opportunity to board great big ships. We had to climb up this ladder while they were still moving, and also National Geographic ships, Lindblad, Alaska Dream, Uncruises, many of the different ones. And there were park rangers on board. And the park rangers were looking at us like, keep up with us. And we did. And we had the opportunity to go on Heen, our sacred waters, and to travel and to spend time with Sit Klein and the different glaciers and the many things that were on the land. And the land does speak. It does have a spirit and a being and a life, and does have tears, does know pain, and does know happiness. And some of the elders shared and said, as you go up and down the bay and you experience these things, and sometimes there's not a human foot that has touched the land for many years, but people are looking, you know, and everything is looking back at you, and there's a spiritual exchange that takes place. Just, we're two physical women right now, but we're also spiritual beings. And I see her and she sees me. It's like that when I look at the glacier or the mountains or the animals. They're seeing us right back, and they have these emotions and these expressions. So with the climate changing, with things happening and the water rising, the climate change experts say a lot of things, and they're releasing a lot of words about the earth. The elders seem to be sharing with us, a little bit younger ones, to get ready. Have you felt that too? It's like they're saying to get ready, to cuddle up close to each other, not far apart, to forgive and be close and develop and keep these relationships. So I know him and he knows me. Because as time comes closer, just like when you look at the keat and the killer whales and the animals, they're in families. Even the glaciers are in families. We're in families. And our relationships with one another are so important right now, because where will you go when that time comes? Who will you look for? Your daughters and sons, your parents, your aunties, your uncles. You will look for your grandmas and your family. You'll want to know, you know, and if maybe you didn't forgive somebody 20 years ago because they didn't give you $1 for the bus or something, you know, forgive them, because we need to know each other. We need to have love in our heart. We can't hold on to old things forever, because the elders seem to be saying that a time is coming. But they also seem to know, because the world is looking at us right now, just like you said, as bearers of indigenous, of native strength. The women who went through the glaciers, they had that strength from one side to the next. That was a prophecy, you know, of 7 generations. They would go inland, we would be here on the coast. And after 7 generations, we would come back. And the keepers of medicine would come back and meet and see each other again for this time. So we may need to go back into the earth for a while and not be with conveniences so much, but be back close to nature. And the elders that have shared said to keep those relationships strong with one another. It's a very simple message that we're families, that we're really families, and take care of those within your own home. Look out for each other, and then take care of more and more and more. And the women seem to know how to do that really good, huh? They seem to know really good how to take care of more and more and more. So men, look towards your women, you know, for that strength. And we'll make it through this time, just like the people of the glacier that made it through. Because when the women went into the glacier, they talk about the way the ice was. They talk about the way things flowed. They talk about having the spruce when they went through. Different things help spiritually. We're going back into this place, and we're going to come back out even stronger, because we are reconnecting with what we have always been, and that is our mother. We're going to need to go back into our mother, and we will survive this time. But this time the world is going to go with us. The whole world is looking here, right here. And it's really important that the mothers, that we know each other. We know who all the other grandmas and mothers are. And that our men, we've been strong a long time. Huh? We've been really strong a long time. We are women with that strength and power of life-giving. But you know, we need our men to be strong too. And I'd like to thank Guneshish to those men who made that journey from maybe a little bit darker place into the light to be strong. Because we need you to be strong, because yes, we're strong women, but we're women, and we want to not always be like that. We want to breathe like that. We want to you know, and we can do that as our men gather around us and you're strong because, you know, whatever it is you need to do it now. Whoever it is you need to become, that you're born to become, be him now, because the women are coming to you and we will help and we will guide and we will caretake. But we need to get ready for this journey. So we need to be together, and as we do not compete, we complement each other. So the world is looking for us, as they say the climate is changing, as they say the water is rising. As you look at the animals and they're skinny. Some of the animals are really skinny. See that? Some of them are behaving differently. I saw a whale, and it was right from here to about where she's at. And it came up on the water, and it went down, and it looked, its eye just turned and looked, went down 3 times, and it looked. And there was something in the whale's eye that seemed to be speaking. You know, our people went through these things with respect. I wouldn't say it was fear, but more respect, just knowing and preparing. And that's what we're doing now. But as the world is asking us what our voices are speaking, you know, it is our elders that were the most connected to the land, that know the land intimately the most. And we will follow them. But we need our men. We need you to be strong. We've been the backbone a long time, huh? And you'll still have us. But we need you to go on this journey with us, because it's not just our clans and our families and our groups. It's the whole world that is looking towards us. So I guess that's why you handed me the microphone, huh? To say a few things, but I hope to lift this up because we've done it before. The world changes, the earth changes, things happen, they go back and forth. It's a natural cycle of things, and then things are reborn. Leona, you want to stand by me? Okay. I'm glad Leona's going to speak because we work with, we worked together. So I'm going to give Leona the microphone. That's okay. Goodness, sheesh, thank you.
I have a hard time standing, so my name is Kakwe. I'm Kagwantan from the Guchit. I'm a child of the Dukdang Tan. I am a grandchild of Luka Kadi, and I'm also a descendant of Glacier Bay, Hunakawu. And I share the culture with work through Alaska Native Voices. And there's a lot of spiritual things that happen when we share our stories and talk about Tlingit people. We talk about the Tsimshian people, we talk about the Haida people. But we don't tell their stories, we just talk about our languages. We talk about our children, how a lot of you are teaching our children the language. A lot of you are teaching our children the songs and the dances. And as an elder, I am very proud of everyone in here that does so much for the Tlingit people, the Haida people, and the Tsimshian people. We talk about being proud of hearing a little child introduce a dance group, talk about a song that they're going to sing. And we have all these changes happening, but it seems to be strengthening our people. And I appreciate Nancy for stepping forward and talking about something that we need to be concerned about. And I heard her talk a lot in terms of what she believes. And I'm really glad you stepped forward and did this.
Love you.
Yeah. And Nancy's been my friend for some time. And I would like to say to her, A'ich achahin. I believe in you. Nancy Barnes, A'ich achahin. Marcia, A'ich achahin. My friend forever. Paulette, A'ich achahin. Yarrow, A'ich achahin. Those are words. I believe when the elders came up to me and they held my chin as a child, I believe that's what they were saying to me. That helped me sustain to be here. And I really believe that it is a strength to have been at this conference and hear people, each and every one of you that spoke, I heard you. And I appreciate everything Elfie does. Goodness cheese. Goodness cheese. And I took a lot of pictures in Glacier Bay, you know, and seeing the Marjorie Glacier receding, it's sad. When Nancy started talking, my heart felt heavy because looking at how the earth breathes, and hopefully she never has her last breath, so it's up to us to do something. But I took a picture and I came home and was going through my pictures and studying them, and there was one that was by Gloomy Knob, which is also known as Juneau Ani, the mountain goat land. And after we left it, I took pictures of just stone, and there was a lot of faces. Our ancestors' faces were in the stone. Our ancestors' faces. And I know we have a lot of spirit, and we believe in everything has a spirit. And I just want everybody to know that, they're pleading to us. This one face looked like it was really pleading. So, anyway, I just want to end it with, you are the people we have been waiting for. You are the people that we have been waiting for. You. Yeah. You are the people. Our ancestors did what they could for us. It's time for us to do what we could do for our grandchildren, for our great-grandchildren. Goodness cheese.
Goodness cheese.
Goodness cheese. Goodness cheese. I think this climate change has been going on for a while. Because I can remember back going into the conferences, something like this, with elders and young people facilitating and talking about everything that's going on with our First Nations up there. We're constantly fighting. We're always bucking the government and everything for everything we do, but we never back down. We usually get our way because we stick together, we're stronger. So I want to go back like 30 years. I was at this conference, and there was a facilitator there from the prairies, and he's come there. And he said, you know, he said, I didn't want to come to Whitehorse. He said, I'd rather go to Edmonton or Calgary where they want me to do this conference. But he said, I was undecided where I wanted to go. I didn't want to come to Whitehorse. But he said, I went home and I seen my grandmother. She's from the prairies. My grandmother, he said. And he said, my grandmother. He said, grandmother, I don't know where to go. He said, I'd rather go to Edmonton. He said, I don't want to go to Whitehorse. She looked at him and she said, you go to Whitehorse. And she said, I want you to go to Whitehorse. And you come back and tell me how the heart is. Whose heart is she talking about? Is it our mother the earth? So he say, now when I leave here, I have to go back and tell my grandmother, the heart is strong, very strong. So everything on this earth has a spirit. Everything is a living thing. And 30 years ago, I've noticed change already in the climate. Now last year in Carcross, our rivers are very low. Salmon, very little coming up. Very little snow last year. We're up in the mountains. We're ahead of the waters, the watershed. And there was very little snow last year, very little water. Everything's dry. So I think, you know, we have to get on this bandwagon now with those young people that were protesting in Canada. The young people that are in school. It's time to say, no, we gotta go back. I think it's better. You know, when we were living here, when we were old, when we were out in the trap lines, I was born on a trap line, 50 miles from Carcross. My auntie and my grandma delivered me in November, the coldest part of the year. And you know, that time it was 60, 70 below, and it stayed like that for 2-3 months during winter, and lots of snow. Now this year, the animals had a hard time because there was very little snow. The snow is a protection for them against the wolves and everything else. So they come down where the snow is way down, or you know, where they get protection. And we have to look after our waters because that's the blood that runs through our mother, the earth. That's the one we survive on. Everything on earth survives on water. Our body's 98% water. When there's a full moon, why do you think people go the way they do? Because the moon controls water, controls the tide. My mother told me, she said, you know, I don't know why they go up and bother the moon. She said, why they bring rocks back from there? She said, because the moon is the weatherman. She said, maybe that's why everything is going the way it's going. I have more, but I didn't have lunch today, so I'm going to go and have it now.
Oh.
Goodness cheese.
Cheese. Goodness cheese. Anybody else?
I forgot to introduce myself earlier. Sagop, Tsutskan Khenach, Sagop Yuchatu Isak. I just wanted to make a quick comment in response to what our friend said. I remember my mother telling me this when I was a lad. When NASA sent people to the moon, my uush, my great-grandmother, Fanny Haldane, was a first language fluent Ayak speaker, and she shook her head at my mom. My mom went to tell her this great news. We're sending a man to the moon. shook her head. She said, no, they shouldn't do that. The whole world's going to go momsh. And that means nuts, crazy. And so I wanted to respond to what she said. That this was what my great-grandmother said. Oh, sheesh.
In Deutschen. Yara?
Gunashish. Sakchayeye Khatuasak. I just wanted to thank you, Nancy, for bringing this up. I saw the topic on there, and I really wanted to come and see what you had to say and really appreciate bringing this to our attention. I've been out all summer doing all sorts of things, gathering and harvesting and exploring and out and about from Yakutat to Klawock. And as I'm going, I've been really happy about the opportunity to have those experiences, but also concerned because as I'm out and seeing those things, we're harvesting roots. And we're out there in the woods and we're seeing plastic bottles and garbage and things in places that you wouldn't expect to see anything. It's pristine, beautiful environment. And here we're seeing the effects of these things that are coming in. They're infringing on our sacred places and our lands that should be pure. And those things are seeping down into the earth and to the materials that we're gathering and hoping to make a sacred vessel. And those things are impacting our very artwork, the things that we're able to gather, our berries, our roots, our, the fiddleheads, all of those things. We eat them, we put them away, we feed them to the children and the elders and the dry fish and all of those things. Is out gathering cedar bark in Klawock, and we drive and we're thankful for the roads so that we can drive, a long distance away to where the cedar bark stands are beautiful, but we get out there into the middle of nowhere, and there's bottles and cans and things strewn about at every little stop along the way, and you hike up the mountain to a point where you can't hear anybody anymore, you can't see anymore. There's absolutely zero mark of civilization, and you just enjoy that silence for a second of communing with the trees and looking around and hearing the birds and everything. And I look down, and here's a rotten beer can. Just destroying that moment, right? And so that was a precious moment for me to be able to go back and enjoy sharing that time with our mother trees. But it really, really makes a point that we need to protect those areas of our heritage resources. And particularly here in Juneau, where we're out gathering, and they teach classes here at the university. There's a lot of people that come here and say, oh, we don't have spruce roots there. We're gonna come here and gather them. And so I feel like those resources are being over-harvested. I think they need to be protected, and we need to be very, very careful about making sure that those areas are preserved and marked and controlled in a way so that, there's one group that goes and gathers, and then there's a whole other group that has no idea that they already did that, and they come and they harvest again. And then this group over there is like, oh yeah, I learned how to do spruce root weaving, and we're gonna go get roots. And I remember they told me to go out by such and such place. See, I almost said it. And, and our places are being over-harvested, and we need to pay attention to that. And that's something that, should be controlled, I think, in a way that is responsive to the environmental changes that are happening, that are responses to this flood of industry and everything that is coming. And the airport is expanding, and some of those areas are great places for harvesting, and it's great to have the transportation, but we need to pay attention to where those trees are too, because they are their living spirits and they're feeding our cultures. And here we are looking at how to replicate and preserve and model and all of these ancient artifacts, and we have stored in the museum, and looking at this living culture. But what are we going to do when those materials are no longer available for us? So Gunas Chish, Nancy, for bringing this topic to our attention. I appreciate the moment to have a word. Gunas Chish.
KTOO, James Williams. I'll just like to point out the sign over here. I don't know how many of you read it. To me, suddenly all my ancestors are behind me. Be still, they say. Watch and listen. You are the result of the love of 1,000. We need to listen to that because they are powerful words. If we do, we will make a better place for our great, great, great grandchildren. So I hope that we listen and we do. Like the elders told me, we elders, we watch, we see, and we listen. We give you something. We watch you do it. If you do nothing with it, we take it back and we give it to her. She runs away and does it. The elders look back at you and say, here, there's something else. We never forget you. And you run away and you do your thing. Then they say, now we know that's what he likes. Each and every one of you have something to offer to your people.
Goodness, geez.
We're not all hunters. We're not all fishermen. We're not all gatherers of the things that we use. But every one of us help one way or another. And I'd like to end this with a little story about my mother. Hearing people saying, they went to the moon. I come into the house happier than hell. I said, Mother, they sent a man to the moon. She looked at me and she said, do you see Bugs Bunny? I said, what do you mean do I see Bugs Bunny? She said, that movie they make, Bugs Bunny. I said, yeah, I've seen it. She said, well, that's what they did when they went to the moon. They just pretend. But anyway, to cut the long story short, finally one day I tell Mother, I said, yeah, they did go to the moon. She said, yeah, they did, eh? I tell you what, and these are the first words that came out of her mouth after that was, the weather is going to change. And here it is. How did she know? Something talked to her, whether it be a spirit or whether it be the wind or whether it be whatever, told her it was going to change, and here it is. It's changed. Thank you much, Lee.
Is this on? Okay. I'm Kadashan, but you can call me Michael. And that poster there, I need to add to. When you know it's your time, you walk with the power of 1,000 generations.
Goodness, geez.
And the lady who left with the blood sugar problem, she brought out something that I'm reminded of. The climate change has been going on for quite a while. There was a group of indigenous people in South America, I believe it was Colombia, and they were getting away from the Spanish, and they cut the bridge from one mountain to the other, and they stayed up there for 500 years. But the climate change started to happen, and they came down and said, the acid rain is killing the foliage. The frogs are no longer there. It's been happening for a long time, and we need to stand up and take care of it, like the kids.
Cheese. Yeah, where?
Guneuti. Aya ye khattua sau klingit enach. Khat kunziti. Kawak shuchit. We saw achjit wuduati. Klakwan we a kechat uwawat. And I grew up with the language. Sometimes I don't know if I'm speaking the way you would understand it. So when I go back and forth, it's kind of like, my Tlingit name is Guneuti. The one I was given at birth is Kawakchuchich. And Guneuti was given to me when I was about 6 or 7. And I try to carry that name. I feel honored to have it because I was named after a lady that was an interpreter. And it's a new name. And she was the interpreter during territorial times. She interpreted both ways. She was one of the ones that was taken out and learned English. And she interpreted in the churches, and she interpreted both ways. She was the middle person. But Guneuti means, Gunei means to start, to begin. Guneuti, the one start something. So I teach Tlingit language. And in that, I can't say I know all, and I can't claim to be fluent, but I am a speaker, and I can hold my own. So I've listened to all of you in different ways that you've shared. Atlain Gunalchish. It's a good place to share. And I want to share something in my 20 years of teaching. I don't know if you'll do what I ask, but if you can, I would appreciate it. I would like all those that call themselves Yanyedi, Gooch, Eagle, all stand on one side of the room. All those that call themselves Raven, Crow, you have that lineage. I'm looking at all of us in here. You can join me. I'm talking to the Simsians too. You guys know where you're supposed to be, just because we're Tlingit dominant in here. Even though we've got a big space here, this is something I learned from my teaching, and I've been teaching about 20 years. I sort of pulled rabbits out of the hat, so to speak. I don't know, there isn't a book on how to teach Tlingit culture and language. It's in us. And so you begin to recognize kind of what is needed.
And the reason I'm doing this is because of this sign. You are the result of the love of thousands. How we use this, what we do with this, what do we allow this? Our Creator gave us one mouth, but it's very powerful. And our ancestors already developed something. It's in our clanship. Even though we have Simsian and you're in here, you're in this too. We moved around on this. We migrated from one another in one way or another. And how we treat the opposite clan, one another, how we speak to each other on this land as stewards of this land, sets the precedence whether or not our children will take up that call. If we don't honor one another, especially the opposite clans, that's why I like to see our elders here. When they stand, they don't stand alone. Like I'm going to ask Kahkwe Ach in Yanhan. And we honor one another. There's a balance. Our elders have always taught the balancing part is so important, very important, because when we're teaching, or when I'm teaching, or when I'm learning too, it's like we are talking to our ancestors, talking about our ancestors. We're bringing them in today, and we're going into the future, all at the same time. If I should say something rude to the Yanyedi leader, I'm not just talking, if I said something rude to him or didn't do something to hold him up, then I'm being disrespectful. Look at, this is my niece here. I just met her today. It's like I'm saying something against her or any of you all. And it's the same over here. And that's the mentality that our ancestors had all those centuries of walking and being stewards of this land. That's the love they had of holding one another up. So always we need to be careful with this. This is what the elders have been saying, and we saw a part of it this morning. Always making that amends, always being willing to pull it back together. Because I can guarantee you, when you're out fighting for the land, you're out working on the land, you're being stewards of the land. But if we're fighting, guess who likes to see that? It makes us, as a whole group, weaker. And so how we walk, how we talk, how we be kind to one another on this land begins with our stewardship.
Yahweh. So that's where my heart goes when I think about this. Gonna cheesh.
Goodness sheesh for teaching us this.
So I think we'll come to a close now, and I'd like to do a song. I was going to do it at the beginning, but it seems more fitting now at the end anyway. And the song is, the name of the song is Gun, which is fire, and the song was written by Chatutla and Nahan. And when they wrote the song, they wrote it in honor of our ancestors. When we always call out our ancestors or we are thinking about them, they have given me or anyone permission to sing this song when we're speaking to the ancestors. So I'll go right into it.
Is it okay if I join him?
Absolutely, yes. Stand on stage.